Hello, Music Multiverse listeners. Thank you for joining us once again for Album Reviews Saturdays 2025. This is episode 24. And just about as always, sitting in her cozy townhouse just a mile away down the road, co-host extraordinaire, album listening cohort, damn Deb Armitage Hicks Maloney. Another
Hello.
journey into new albums. It's another full slate, too. If you're new to the channel, please note that this YouTube show is actually an extension of the articles section of beyondyourradio.com, where I ponder, I inform, I digress. Sometimes I gush. Who knows what I do? So it's there for you to read, which I find out people actually do. What? Yes. So
That's
last
awesome.
week's show, Gemma Hayes manager reached out to me from the Unknown Sundays article last weekend saying she was chuffed. What? I thought
What's that?
I thought I had, like, I'm worried. Did I offend her? You know, sweet woman, great artist.
Oh,
Apparently,
no.
chuffed actually means delighted,
Oh,
and my
good.
work is respected. They don't know me very well, do they? Uh, so I have to reply, but I don't know what to say at this point. But this is why we do this, all of it, right?
Yeah.
And all of you that follow, read, subscribe, are the reason this works. Although I do it anyway, as I'm a musical shark in constant movement, devouring everything I can in limited time on this puny planet. But don't worry, while I'm a decent guide in a manic sense of guide, you got damn here to ground you to some degree and keep me on the rails.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
wow.
I can do that.
Okay, good. For those returning to the show, you have my greatest sympathy for your addiction to music. So we give you these 3 album reviews, but today we've got some extras, at least 3. So let's get chuffed. All right, that
Yeah.
probably didn't come off right, but anyway, we've got 2 more weeks before that dreaded time of year. No, it's not a dreaded time of year for you. It's a dreaded time of year for me, where 6 months has passed and it's the halfway point, and then I have to come up with several albums that should be in running at this point for album of the year. So I've been buckling down and getting into the rhythm of listening to albums that I have not been able to at this point. I've been diving deep and attempting to give some favoritism to some artists and bands that I might be more comfortable and awareness of. So leaving them aside, which is something I always try to do. This week, there is very little that I have a prior experience with. Um, you know, which is pretty much a
Mhm.
challenge, I would think, at this point.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of exploration. We
Mhm.
listen a bit more intently with a purpose of discovery rather than trying to catalog or discover something more within something we've already heard before, multiple albums or whatever. So while the first album comes from the front man of a band that I've become very aware of over the last 3 albums, his, was it 4 maybe? Yeah, maybe 4 or 5. Um, I had no idea of his solo career at all. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know his name in the band.
Oh,
No, I just didn't pay attention to it. You know, hey. So this one's new to me. Um, the next up is I don't know, an instrumental band of a very, very different breed. And I
mhm.
had no idea what to expect. There's
Mhm.
something about the word moon in June for some reason, as there's a few bands and albums utilizing this, but I'll get to that sure on another YouTube version. This one has a different vibe, and it just has like a wonderful transition and study for your ears, my ears. I love a band name that extends in this next one to having that and kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just the minute I go somebody and I'm like, I gotta listen to that. I just because it's I don't know why. It's weird. I'm a
It's
sucker for it.
funny.
So when I saw the band's name and the silhouette cover styling for what I
Yeah.
assumed to be their 4th record, I put it down on the list. Whether I don't know. Another artist failed. They would have been on this list, but they didn't deliver their album in time. for some reason. So
Mhm.
here we are at album review 2025, episode 24, and they're all a new adventure. So this will also include the extras forthcoming, at least 3. Hopefully, this is the same experience you crave sometimes. So away we go. Matt Berninger, Get Sunk. Yes, this is a solo album from the lead vocalist and chief songwriter of the wonderful band, The National. No, not the Canadian broadcast news show. Might not be very exciting. Um, they apologize for everything. Matt Berninger. When I knew that this was going to be an album to review, I took the liberty of checking out some interviews. By accident, the first one, because it just kind of popped up and it was in a bookshop, it looked like, or a record store, maybe.
Okay.
Um, and since I'm pretty knowledgeable music guy, at least I think, I was kind of stunned that Mr. Late Night himself, David Letterman, had his moment with Matt.
Yes.
I know they were talking about the National here to some degree, but it kind of made me kind of grateful that it's definitely getting out there. What Mr.
Yeah.
Berninger is putting down, whether it's solo or his band. I know it's probably because of that bit of connection to that young lady who always shows up at Kansas City Chief games. But I'll try to give David the benefit of the doubt there for some reason, because there is a connection there, songwriting wise. I know it,
Mhm.
but anyway, um, I think he's engaged in that. So, and now this second album, he's bringing this to us from himself and utilizing a creative wave of music to transport his storytelling and songwriting style, which isn't unique per se, but once you start to fall under its spell, you realize the uniqueness is the wording and the delivery he chooses. Get Sunk is just that, getting sunk into the music, the lyrical description, and levels of everything that's introspection that he brings. Um, Subtle balladeering, not a word I use too often, but I like that term. And I do believe that this is a tighter system for his kind of songwriting and emotionally careful conveyance. He's kind of careful about how he does this, I think. Take Nowhere Special as a song here on this, as an example of the phenom of channeling, I'll call it. I believe he is channeling himself, his life, and some of the things he holds.
Where to be? I got nowhere to be. I got nowhere to be. Nowhere special. In a language of contentment, we let our lips get electric and slide our teeth along the lines where we never meant to mention. Try not take a bow before we compromise to death. Good drugs and goldfish are the best parts of both of us. A good chance of running between patches of sun is one of the all-time greatest weather reports, isn't it? I guess it goes without saying. It's way too hot to hold hands. I have to get my nails.
Some dear and probably some that are probably not so dear, but they make up his environment, his family, his bandmates, how he writes, the writers he writes with. He's talking about the constant movement that he exerts to stay away and aware of things that could be troublesome, but still being very, very mindful of them. And of course, that's in a depression kind of thing, which is where Dave Letterman came into that discussion, because Dave went to see him, and it's funny because Letterman is, he just says what comes to his mind, and before he goes on stage, he says, "So how are you handling your depression?" By the way, have a good show. Whoops.
I love it.
There are so much things that are written down and then splurged to us in his beautiful format that has a hazy shade of gray. He even talks in the song about baseball as a more interesting visual piece that he writes on rather than a plain notebook, which is insanity in some cases. But it's in a notebook, it's hidden. But if it's on a baseball, it's right there. There's that clever, right? So there's the ingenuity and perplexing difference in Berninger's work and style. You don't know it somewhat because he has to, to share eventually. Kind of intimately within himself and without himself. It's different. This is the kind of exploration of album work that is truly invigorating for someone of my nature and listening habits, because you don't go into this. It's an odd beguiling of a record. I'll stop at that point. Damn, you knew who he was?
No,
No? Okay. All right. So good.
I,
So
I,
we're
I,
level pegging.
yeah, we are. I didn't know what to expect. I listened to this album about 3 times before I even dove into who he is, where he came from, any of that. I was intrigued by it. Learning a little bit about him, like you have touched on, struggles with depression and anxiety. Um, if you suffer from that, listen to this album because it's very calming. To me, it was very
Uh-huh.
calming. A little bit about him. He grew up in Ohio. He went to the University of Cincinnati for graphic design. So he's an artist on many levels, like so many singer-songwriters are. You got that left side of your brain going. But here's a cool, fun fact for everybody. Somebody very famous was a family friend and actually taught him to play pool, and that's Neil Armstrong. And I have a feeling that he must have grown up maybe in the Dayton area, Wright's Air Force Base, all of that kind of thing. I didn't delve in to see what maybe his dad's connection is to, you know, the Air Force or anything like that, or NASA. But so I thought that was interesting. He's been in a couple movies. Between Two Ferns he was in.
Oh yeah, with Galapagos or whatever his name
Yeah,
is, Galapagos.
yeah. His notable influences are wide ranged, from the Violent Femmes to Tom Waits to Leonard Cohen, U2, The Strokes. And he's some of this music has the feel of like an Arcade Fire, Mumford and Sons, kind of that in places, but it's totally unique. He's a baritone. I love his vocals. Um, there's no pitchiness about it at all. Some of the songs that I really liked, Silver Deep, I think that one sounded like a Coldplay, Chris Martin kind of thing. And then Little by Little had a Bruce Springsteen feel to it, Nebraska. And I went, oh, and I love that album, right? But Times of Difficulty, I thought Mick was going to start singing You Can't Always Get What You Want, but so there's touches of familiarity in there that feel homey, but different, like you were saying, totally different and intriguing. And I'm gonna have to you said this is his second
Yeah, second solo
solo?
record. It's funny. I remembered when I saw the cover, I
Mhm.
immediately remembered it, but I never listened to it. I checked my records just to make sure, because
I
it
love
eventually,
the I love this album cover. It's
yeah,
pretty.
yeah. Eventually I'm gonna
It's
forget. That's why I categorize this. So
categorize
no,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Every year I look and I go, did I do that one? No, apparently not.
Well, I'm going to borrow a phrase from your friend that wrote into you on your blog, but I was chuffed with this. Did I
There you
use that
go.
in the right?
We're bringing chuffed back.
Chuffed.
This is
Chuffed is now a new
yeah,
word. I
yeah.
love it.
Because this is
I'm chuffed.
cockamamie. All right, anyway. This is an odd, beguiling record as far as I'm concerned. It has such a subdued nature, but with such a non-subdued style. It's gracefully placed to us, yet it sometimes doesn't allow that grace to be bestowed upon you right away.
Hmm.
You get yourself wrapped up around the luxury of each of the instrumental choices of each of the songs first. If you try to rap it and the lyrics at the same time, it's not going to work for you,
Correct.
because there are a lot of lyrics. Now, is it lyrics like Alanis Morissette? No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the diatribe of it, right? And how
Mm-hmm.
some of it he is just speaking, like I don't know. Do I get to that in this? It's just not like that. So if you try to do both, you're going to get lost. I'm not
Yeah.
saying the album is challenging. No, it's just a different delivery pattern that can be used. And
Mm-hmm.
he's not trying to make a hit record here by any means. There's nothing here that screams "put me on radio" or has a melodic catch or hook to it.
Right. Correct.
It's an honest observation, storytelling, brilliant wordplay, and very ingenious changes that are not melodically common, but maybe they should be. The instrumentation, which seemingly becomes simple, is truly remarkable in placement and the scheme of it all, and matches more than any other album so far this year, honestly. I got Nowhere to be Nowhere special, but in actuality, that is actually someplace very special in the music multiverse, even though it's an odd kind of musical sparse hemisphere that we're probably not experienced as often as we would like to. This Nowhere special is not an easy place to get to from where we normally might be, but the working to get there is exceptionally interesting in the journey. And once you're there, you might find a bit of yourself was already there. You just needed to get past the junk and into the reality of our times of difficulty. So get sunk, people. It could be a very enlightening experience if you are open to that sort of everything.
Nice.
It's in the middle here. So I don't know how I pick these things. This is Moonrisers. Harsh and exciting. The minute you hear that electrified steel guitar meets banjo, folk phrasing, and the percussion, I think the percussion comes first, so that should have been reversed. You have that feeling that it's blue collar, not desert, not country. It's rooted somewhere in a different dark nature, survival of a different sort, but still kind of elementally. It's got a hinty doom prospect, elevated by a rural sound, given full on by this woman at the guitar.
Sure.
I might not have guessed Detroit, Michigan,
No.
but it makes a kind of perfect musical sense in all honesty.
Mm-hmm.
Libby DeCamp and Libby DeCamp and drummer Adam Schreiber are on a different path than anyone I've heard in years, and it's an absolute delight. I know that sounds kind of stupid when you say delight and doom in the same word, but you understand where I'm coming from. The timeless atmosphere of this album harkens to a very realistic design, a structure that delivers in a subtle, haunting, kind of respectful fashion that equally is produced to match, which doesn't often happen. And who's at the helm of such a production? Remember that Delta Cream record? Yeah. This man's becoming the Steven Wilson of blues rock arena. Harsh and exciting, though, I don't know, it's an absolutely stunning instrumental composition for the ages and those ages, because it's backwards in time. Obviously, Dan Auerbach of the Black Keys. He's got a signature on this, although he seems to have let the band do their thing. There is just a ton of beautiful space on this record for your ear to appreciate and fall into the rapture of their stylings. Harken does it? Yes, the harkening is essential. It's essential to the instruments they play. And yep, I was wrong in the first sentence. Back there, you got, but you got the idea, right? Well, that is not a steel guitar. It's not some sort of banjo. It's actually a Slingerland Maybell parlor guitar from the 1930s.
Yes. Crazy.
Damn. And she is playing that like a, okay. And Adam is thumping away on 100-year-old calfskin drum.
You stole my fun facts. My fun facts. It's okay. You're the host.
Right? This is an authentic as it can get.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
Damn.
Oh, God. Well, yeah, I was intrigued about Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys, and he discovered them at an online performance or something. He just came across them, I think, on whatever, YouTube or TikTok, whatever they were doing. But yeah, they're inspired by poets, 20th century naturalists, not surprising. And even their name harkens to a Mary Oliver poem.
Oh,
Their music is very serene, contemplative, interesting at every turn. You think you're gonna know what to expect the next song, and it's not. And I don't like just instrumentals very much, but I was chuffed on this one. Um, just a couple of the songs that really kept catching me no matter what I was doing, and it's like I said, serene, contemplative, gentle, but then Run Up Time was a bit more jammy, and it started to move along a little bit more. And the one song that I just would start singing the wrong words to, not that there were any words, but Lift Him Up, Mother's Last Word. You could hear Somewhere Over the Rainbow and Save the Last Dance for Me.
there's Somewhere Over
And
the Rainbow I actually, mine was the Rainbow Connection. I had that thing in the back of my head going, oh my God, are they actually, maybe this was the original people that did, I don't know. I'm like, oh, is Kermit the Frog gonna sing? Yeah, no
it was
disrespect.
interesting.
This album is
No,
amazing.
but Somewhere Over the Rainbow, think about it, that was written in the 30s probably, and here she's using a guitar from the 30s. Who knows? Could be a fan favorite of somebody in their family. It might be a tribute to grandma. Who knows? But
Yeah,
it was catchy and it was beautiful.
yeah.
So
Somewhere Over the Rainbow was written in Buffalo, right?
I think yeah,
At the
yes.
Colored Musicians Club by a Jewish kid, right? If I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, space on this record, right? A raw, kind of a brilliant discovery of music that had a place somewhere in the past, and they have come to bring it into the dangerous, difficult, and often haunting present. So, Further Down is a tremendous example of the time battle from instrument to emotional tenacity that's being withstrained, so to speak. To feels like a breaking point that honestly never comes. There's never a breaking point. There's never a crescendo. It's just, I'm not wrong about the banjo. It's there and it's self-evident and yet extremely mysterious in quality. I don't know how you make a banjo mysterious, besides hitting somebody over the head with it. An emotional scope on it. Welcome to an honest, engrossing experience that is exactly as the title states, in that harsh and a different, controlled kind of excitement. Now, here's the real mystery. How the words, ideas, and or concepts of the past become a haunting or exciting realization of what life is seeming to become today. Is that not the feeling you kind of get here? At least I did. I'm going to quote somebody. These are the days that must happen to you. Walt Whitman. Also, probably someone they have read. Hopefully, they can be as beautiful, complex, and old soul unbounded as this lovely record. Harsh and exciting is an effort that few would seek out. This couple not only has seeked it out, but they have come to a gorgeous terms with it, and on so many lovely levels that it should be considered the most soul-searchingly self-renewing piece of music created in a very long time. This is a very different kind of sound musical experience, listening experience. You think of like T-Bone Burnett, Old World Blues with Hermano Gutierrez.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the connection. Schreiber actually drummed for the band.
Really?
And guess who the producer was? Dan Auerbach.
Got it.
All
Okay.
right. Yes, he
Mm-hmm.
produced and mixed a lot of their albums, musical soundscapes. You got a dusty gospel expression that doesn't need words, just a percussive, plucky meditation of the struggles to stay in the righteous fashion. This is a righteous album indeed. Very impressed. Very impressed.
Chuffed.
They're using that to death. All right. So next up, this silhouette. Dustin Douglas and the Electric Gentleman 4. When I saw the name, I had a feeling, and you should as well. It wouldn't take a musical genius to figure out where this one's going to lay it. It's going to be blues, rock. Dustin and his gentleman. Yeah. This is only a threesome. They make a lot of noise for a threesome. Come right out of the gate and electrically swing the blues rock hammer. And yes, the cowbell is there, my friends, right off the bat. Excuse me. You can drink all the coffee you want, it won't work. That fire-driven blues approach that, while it's not inventive by any means, it's delivered well in pace and homage, and meaningful content can always invigorate. And on 4, the vocal, the slight uniqueness of Dustin Douglas is an added pleasure that not only swaggers in, it allows the band's electricity to step over the line and come back effortlessly. The damage is done at this point. Just a second, but to you, it's just a hit and run. All right. The hooks and electrified guitars. And there's a little bit of organ. I don't even know who the hell's playing that, by the way. Probably Dan. And it, geez. And it kind of has that, this whole thing, like the energy would get the crowd going if you saw him live. You get this second kind of Bad Company concept, the second part of Bad Company, like living in a dangerous age. Especially one of the songs was A Dangerous Game. And I know what you're thinking. That's cliche. It's, late 80s. Yeah, but as long as it's delivered beautifully and produced well, it's a pleasure. It's a reminder and a great, easy ear cleaner, right? Considering all the other stuff, allowing you to just enjoy without harvesting like some sort of deeper impression of what's going on. Not all music has to be a struggle. This has that late 80s kind of production and values that allow the rawness to continue, but don't let it get too raw. It's a formula, but it bloody works. All right. Does it work, Deb?
Yeah, this is my thing. This is my thing. And much to my chagrin, I enjoyed it so much I didn't really write many notes. I just enjoyed. And I have to tell you, Mark, I didn't realize that stood for 4. I kept thinking it was IV. And
you're gonna need a transfusion.
Yeah. So I'm glad I'm not the host of the show, because they'd be writing me something on the blog. But yeah, the vocals here just very I guess like humble pie. Who was that? Steve Marriott. It had like that I don't know, that old school vocal for me.
Yeah, like a whiskey drenched kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I felt like even though this was new, it was old, but not old. It's hard to explain. Their original, he started in an original power trio, they call it, but it's not, I don't know who else was in it, so that power trio doesn't mean anything, but I like the name of it, Lamangeli. And I'm thinking they're from Pennsylvania. I don't know.
Are they Wilkes-Barre?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know where they get this little Italian hook in there, but yeah, the cowbell. I love the cowbell. I mean, Will Ferrell made the cowbell infamous as an homage to our Blue Oyster Cult. But this album is just so good from start to finish. It's the kind of blues that I like. I don't I don't like when you have to try too hard with the blues. It should just come out of your soul. It should come out of your belly. And I can't name one song over the next that I particularly took a liking to. The whole album, start to finish, awesome. And I listened to it many, many times. And I'm sorry I don't have any more notes than that, but it was good.
It's all right. Give it to me straight. Yep. Yep. No sense in doing this any other way. Is there? No. Slide on the guitar, rhythm it, drop back and let the vocalist do his thing. Get a hint of Credence. And we are ready to satisfy and testify to the sway of lighters in the air, waving them around like you just don't care. We got our girlfriend in our arms. Oh, maybe it's your wife too. You know, hopefully not setting her hair on fire. I don't even know how in the past that didn't, that wasn't the number one cause of death in America back in the day. Setting people's hairs on fire at concerts, but this is where this is. Let me tell you how it is here. It's straightforward electric, fun rock blues with a hint of that 80s personified. There you go. Via defunct Mojo Records. While I think it was purchased by Concord, though I do see that it says on their website Nola-Blue Records. So Nola is kind of a more old school blues kind of a touch. So I've got to find out what's going on here, as it might be pretty cool to check out other artists that are in this mix, right? So Concord buys Mojo as far as I can see. So I go to Concord, all right? And every one of the people that we just talked about is on this label. Dustin's on there, although via this breakup thing, and they're not listed, but somehow they have to be. Yes, Berninger's on there. Moonrisers is on there. I'm like, do I have some sort of algorithm within me? It's getting a little scary up in this piece. All right. God, I'm scared of me right now. Anyway, that being said, I'll figure that it's a cool thing to check out these kind of albums, this kind of wonderment. This is how it's delivered, and I'll just say please and thank you. Yeah, just like it says on the record. Yeah, that's what this is, right? It's what it does. Want to win album of the year? No. But is it fun to listen to, and you're going to play it everywhere and have a ball with it? Damn right.
Yes.
Yeah, yep. It's like that great movie that everybody loves to go see. Is it going to win an Oscar? Hell no. It needs to have more. Anyway, speaking of more, how about three more? Three more. All right. We're going to start it off with a lovely area of the world I like to visit in my musical mind. I haven't traveled there, but many Norwegians seem to know who I am. But let's go to Bergen. Let's go to Bergen. Where if you go to Bergen, you need a bodyguard because the fight will happen. All right. I don't know. I'm making that shit up. Cryptograph. Cryptonomicon is the name of the album, and they could have named their band Silly Putty, Dirt on the Side of the Road, just a decimal point. Their name of the album of Cryptonomicon was immediately going to be on the show. I don't care if it was classic, if it was emo, if it was death metal, whatever it was going to be, because Cryptonomicon is a fictitious mathematics novel that spans over two time periods, World War II and 1990. It is code breakers, software, ciphers, and a pocket protectors unite kind of thing, right? This will be on Reddit. These guys will be drooling over this fictitious mathematical book. But what do you get here? Oh, nothing like that. This is okay. Math. All right, I'm gonna give you math here. Here's the math.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So let's see if I can do this. All right. So Bergen. I'm gonna do it Bergen style. All right? Their chosen formula, all right, is you gotta have I don't know. Let's go with a brilliant Sabbath math and square root of Monster Magnet delivered by a decibel of Ghost carried to the power of ethereal prog. Yep, there's some prog in there. A lot of spaciness happens. Yep. Mixed with retro, heavy, fuzz, and rock doom. The mix is stellar. It simplified the stoner rock in doom. It doesn't have to go to that bleak place and audible creature-like areas. All right, so it goes to Damn now, who kind of struggles in this vein. So let's see how that goes.
Okay, well,
Does she have the right math, or is she back to ground zero?
well, this was a little bit more difficult for me than the first 3 albums. But what does proto doom sound mean? What's proto
Proto means it's
doom?
going back to the 70s. All right. So
Okay.
there's your Sabbath, right?
Okay,
And then it's having
Yep.
a more grip toward, obviously this is a heavy guitar record. You know, it
Yes.
has that part of fuzz, and it has the doom side of this is not as heavy as most doom,
No,
right?
it's
It
not.
doesn't have a sludge factor to it. It is more centered toward the rock side of this, which is really
Yes.
but it has those little elements, and it has that element of prog too, where there's synthesized space
Yes.
modules and monster magnet kind of
Yes.
touches, which makes this a little bit, it makes it elevate to a better level than, for you at least. I mean, for me, I can go
Exactly.
anywhere and make it happen.
I
But
know. No.
yeah.
I think so that makes sense because this was much easier for me to listen to than some of the stuff that we have in the past. Um, they kind of, as a band, they are proud of the fact that they're more than just a front man, that all of them lend to the sound, to the show, even when they're performing live. It's not just Ozzy Osbourne up there with the voice. I did the Monster Magnet thing. I love Monster Magnet. So yeah, I got that feel. They cite Susie and the Banshees as
Yeah.
one of their, and which then I went, oh, yeah, I kind of get it here. It it's not anything that I would be chomping at the bit for the next album.
Right.
But as far as
Unless it
this
was named
goes,
Cryptonomicon too. No, okay.
not or IV.
Yeah.
So I would say in a proto doom way, it was delightful.
Okay.
So how do you put that word with? I don't. That's
It's
what they're doing.
this. I think the music, we make shit up as we go along. I don't know. Some of the names, like I remember, the progressive one we did. Everyone hates that word,
Hmm.
right? And you're
Hmm.
starting to hate the stoner rock term, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if we need to categorize it. I think why we do this is to give you a feel for what it is, right? So what it
Yes.
is I play I play tidbits, right? I
Hmm.
don't know whether I'm going to get whacked eventually, right? We're at
Yeah, I know.
258 subscribers, maybe 259 at this point. And if I get to the monetization level, when they start to go back and listen, watch these things, I'm probably not going to make any money off them because the band is going to say, and by the way, I didn't use any Don Henley shit, but there are other people that are going to, you can't do that. All right, that's fine. But that's why we say what we say. There are other channels that do not. They just say it, right? And it becomes samey to me,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Got that stoner heavy oh man, what does that even mean anymore?
I
Anyway.
think that's why it's helpful to me to not only get a feel after I've listened to an album what their influences are. And it's interesting because, when you've got a band of 3 or 4 people, they're not all going to have the same influences. And that's what makes their band different and unique. And so I think it's interesting to know that and also know who ends up being influenced by them.
Right.
And it gives you a better feel of what you're going to be listening to.
And when you don't fall uniquely, it's dangerous. Just,
Hmm.
I listened. There was the Twitter last night was kind to me. We had a good time.
Okay, good.
It was one of the guys that put out. Has anybody listened to the new Buck Cherry? And I'm like,
Oh,
okay, I'll go do it. You know, I
was
didn't.
it?
I
Ah,
didn't have a high expectation, right? So here's what I wrote. If you see a faded sign at the side of the road that says 31 minutes to the rock, hack, you're headed down the usual 1 minute written highway, looking for the return of music familiarity, heading for, oh, I can't do this shit, all right? Because now they're talking about sex. That's one of their albums, talking about sex, or they're one of their
oh, of
songs.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
of
shit,
course,
there's
of course.
Cowbell. Oh, it's album of the year. No, it's, come on. Yeah. All right.
Okay, got
A
it.
little bit of fun there, right? So we move on from Bergen to Butcher Brown. Now, this is letters from the Atlantic and hybrid soul, electronic, ambient jazz. Hybrid jazz. I think hybrid should have come at the jazz part because this is centered in the jazz environment. It's kind of lush, lovely start. It's got a good feel. It's got a smooth, groovy side that doesn't lay that funky, but it toys with it gently.
Mhm.
However, it becomes a trip hop experience, much like Morchiba last week. It was last week, right? Maybe, I don't know. From last,
Oh,
yeah, it was last week. I'm thinking
yeah.
with a lot of vocal variety of
Hmm.
sassiness, soulfulness sound, but the lyrical content is extremely. I don't care. It's less inventive than the music that is swirling and jazzing and percussing around it. It has a sense of chill and club spirit that holds you there, trying to hold you there. The vocal sort of doesn't allow for the music to reach any sense of thrill or edginess. It holds more true to the bounce vibe and upbeat jazz rhythms rather than moodiness, even when the keyboard electronic funk starts. It it always sticks to a certain strut, prideful to a well poured drink, a moderately busy bar in the city, or people watching on the strip where people are constantly meeting each other or they're just chilling. The best parts here are without the vocals for me, anyway. Damn.
Agreed. And you know how I feel about vocals. I didn't I didn't need the vocals in this. I'm not a big jazz person. I'm not like acid jazz, that kind of thing, but this is more of like a 70s jazz funk fusion, like a Spyro Gyra.
Mm.
And I love Spyro Gyra. So this was a good album for me. Um, their name, actually, Butcher Brown, comes from a Ready to Rumble boxing video game character. Who knew?
Ready to rumble. What? Did I have that?
I don't know, but it was a
Like
character
Nintendo,
in one of
maybe?
the maybe.
Hmm.
Um, I guess they kind of made a name for themselves in 2020. Their theme they wrote Rip It Up. Well, they performed Rip It Up, Little Richard's Rip It Up, and it became Monday Night Football's theme song. I
Okay. All right.
So that's interesting, right?
Yeah, that is.
And
Yep.
you used the word smooth, and Hold You, that song
Hmm.
had a Sade kind of smooth feeling to it. That had vocals.
Yes.
And I enjoyed her vocals. I thought they were well placed in that song. Um, Outside of that, I mean, it gave me a little bit of feeling like the snapped ankles. Didn't we review the snapped ankles?
Hmm.
We did
We
because
did.
yeah, because I they got that from Misery,
Yes.
snapped
Yes.
ankles.
Yeah.
So
Close your eyes.
it was enjoyable. It really was for my indifference to jazz. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Most of these albums this week were all they killed their babies. They kept it
Yeah.
within a time frame. There was no, wow, that needs to end. Except this one had those vocal repetition things that I'm like, all
Yeah.
right,
Yes. Agreed.
I get it. It's part of the melody, but okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of snapped ankles and gross things and turn your head away, this is Julia Wolf, Pressure. And this album cover is Look Away. Pain. It looks like pain. It feels like pain. Dear Lord, it's not. I don't think that's her being lifted. It's probably a stunt woman. Okay, this is the most difficult record to review this week because there is a generation gap here. I'm writing what I wrote. I'm stepping away from because I've been going up and down this sucker for hours.
Oh no.
First of all, she can have that connection to Amy Lee of Evanescence. That first few tracks, the way it's presented, the crushing note and the intensity that doesn't really go all the way there, but it does hit. It does signify a placement in the music multiverse for her. While I don't subscribe to the idea that everything needs to be categorized, I do need to feel that you're not scatterbrain and trying to fulfill a musical destiny of every genre possible. Not everyone fits in every genre. So I'm there at the first part, right? That's your in my room, that reason holding it to a framework. Usually not going for, again, that crushing all in it in intensity, but it quickly identifies and signifies her place. Then she's got this tempered indie sound, like everyone quickly identifies and signifies that's going to hinge variety.
Over and over again, I take care of myself. I never needed nobody. Yeah, I fell asleep with the candle burning on accident. Aren't you sorry? Aren't you sick? I prayed for death with a stuffed dog on my bed.
Which serves her generation big time, doesn't serve mine. And I get it. We're all going to be dead. So go with those people. But we buy most of the records. All right.
Yeah.
Whereas they do most of the singles. And this is where I'm here at the single side. Yeah. I hear the Phoebe Bridgers kind of thing. But Phoebe's a different beast. All right.
Yeah.
That connectivity of her song is instantaneous. All right. It's moody. It's delivered in brilliance. This is closer to like Avril Lavigne like pitch. In I'm not saying it's overly poppy or Skater Girl, but it seems looser. It doesn't. I don't think she's hugging the lyrics. I don't think she's hugging the melody. And I also think there's this. Okay, so I'll let Deb go, and then I'll come back. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, she's classically trained on piano, and she's a classically trained vocalist, right? She actually started being very interested in the piano because her dad bought her a white baby grand as a surprise. So obviously she doesn't come from a place of where she can write songs from, hardship. If dad can surprise you with a baby grand piano, you've got that. So maybe she's trying to do something to grab people in different ways without having the experience of living certain things. Not sure. Her last name, Wolf, is a stage name. It was inspired by her little sister's imaginary friend. She'd always say "Goodnight, Wolf," and then so that doesn't seem that interesting to me. So that leads me to this album. It wasn't that interesting to me. What was interesting was her voice. Her vocals are very ambiguous. I mean, at the beginning, I thought, is this a guy or is this a girl? And, even though it says Julia Wolf, you can't just assume. So in reading about her a little bit, because I was baffled about where she was going with this, um, she says that her lyrical style is a stream of consciousness.
Mm,
Well, I don't know.
no, I don't think she
That's
understands what stream of consciousness is. Yeah,
no.
pick up a Matthew Good record. That's stream of consciousness.
Exactly. There were some interesting cadences in her
Yeah.
writing and that for sure. I mean, it's just like her influences. It's interesting who you named: Phoebe Bridgers, Avril Lavigne, All American Rejects. I, I, I don't know. It was a little too sad sounding, but I didn't know why. Like,
Okay.
I felt I
I
didn't.
think that's I think that's like it depends on how you listen to it. Not
Maybe.
how you listen to it, but where you come in on it. I don't know.
Mm,
Because the record at the first start, I'm getting okay, we're going to go into new metal. We're going to be
yeah.
reaching that, and then it changed. It's almost like there's this fight between the indie pop rock and the new metal, and even oh my god, I saw glitchcore as a name. I don't even
Uh,
know what the hell glitchcore is. I'm not even going to try to explain it. I don't think it was here. I think people are grasping at straws trying to find a category. I don't think this needs a category. What this does need is this. It becomes a hint cliche,
mhm.
this survival thing, the misunderstood principles of self doubt and coming to terms with how to survive, right? Jennifer's body, obviously, which is completely taken from the movie, right? So she watches movies. I think that how her TikTok and everything became, she she
Yeah.
she sent out this thing that has that vampire movie thing. I don't know, it's from the teens or whatever. It was multiple. There were
Oh.
volumes of it. I can't think of what the
Mhm.
hell it was called, but
Oh,
that
yeah, yeah.
right. So yes, that's a cool concept and a vocal pitch that's more interesting, but the music is not matching and it falls modest instead of diabolically or I guess diabolically lovely maybe is the word I'm looking for. Um, I get the indie pertinence and how it's playing, but the crescendos are too soft or too lost in the production. It's missing something for me, and I know what it is: age, respect, and continuity. It's like that paper you got to write for school. All right, and you don't. It starts off great. You have an idea, and then you fill it because you have to fill it, right? And that's what's here with me. It just doesn't. It doesn't fill. Well. These are cliche type of statements, or it's redundancy. The lyrical
Yeah.
words are there. They're meaty, and they're indie. They're generational, but they're not my generation. But I hear it. But it could be more than that. But I identify that as a weakness. It's just the first part of the album. It's well generated, and the second half doesn't hold. And it's just that paper they didn't write it well. Just no, no. It started off. You got goal, you got vigor, but it fades. It fades. Misunderstood principles. Just misunderstood principles of what it.
I'm
What,
on chuffed.
yes. Well, I'm not. I liked some of it, and I was trying to
Yeah.
find my way back to,
Yeah.
but
Agree.
there's manicness to it in a way,
Yeah.
but not that bad. Not like me, but yeah. I wanted it, but there are
Thank
people
you.
gushing over this record.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. And their
Hmm.
generation, they look like my kids. So that
Okay.
kind of tells you where, right? But
Yeah.
what is it?
I liked the monkeys too when I was a
Yeah,
kid,
but
right?
this is
Yeah.
what do they call it? Drama. Okay. Oh, the drama. It's a fake drama. It just doesn't feel genuine to
I
me.
gotcha. I
Right?
got.
All right.
Yeah.
And okay, Silverchair. 16-year-olds.
Mm.
Drama. Right? How
Yeah.
they understand Israel and war and have that. And this is back, this isn't today. That's back in the 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's connectivity. That's connection. That's understanding. That's knowledge. That's a well-written paper. And I guess I've gone too far. Oh. What did you think of these albums? Let us know in the comments. Like what you like, leave what you don't. Subscribe to the channel for a lot more. I'll thank Dan for dancing with me as usual, getting chuffed, getting unchuffed. I got to apologize now to England. Damn it.
No, I love that word. It's a good one.
We're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course, articles, videos, podcasts. Go Beyond Your Radio with us, a real music appreciation channel. That's right. Unknown Sunday tomorrow. Little Hurricane on Father's Day. Thanks for watching and happy listening.
Bye.